Okay, it generates a simple shark, as you can see right here. Hello guys, this is my first video. I'm talking about generative AIs and I want to bring some content here on YouTube about AI and game dev. Twice a month I will post a video which will be one for devlog and other one about review about AI or some interesting topic that I want to cover. And this week I'm bringing Shape, which is a new model that OpenAI released. Basically, it takes text and turn it into a 3D model. Pretty amazing, right? So to achieve this, they use what is called INRS, which basically maps 3D coordinates into colors and density. The specific INRS they are utilizing is called NERF. So as you can see here, this is pretty interesting. They use some images and they can generate a 3D view of it. So basically a cloud of points and they map the colors and the textures. Basically what they did was to train this model with this point of clouds, text representations about it, and then after generating this cloud of points, they pass to another model that is called a deep marching tetrahedra or DMTET to be short. This basically gets this point of view or voxels and transform into a co-model as you can see here, and can do pretty amazing stuff like getting these voxels models and get a more detailed version, which is pretty cool, right? And what I will show today to you guys is basically how to run it and how to use it. So let's get started. So now I will show you guys how to use it. It's quite simple. All you need is basically a Python notebook. I'm using here Google Colab because they have this function. Here in runtime you can select and change the runtime type to use a GPU hardware accelerator. I have an RTX 2060 that's not even close to what it needs to run this. So I recommend that you use some of the notebook Pythons because they provide online GPU for usage and you pretty don't pay for nothing. So it's pretty cool. So for starting, you need to clone the repo and get inside the folder, which is what I'm doing here. So it clones the repo and get inside the folder. Then you open the Shape GitHub page and go to the usage. Right here they have 3 examples of the how to use the model. Today I will show to you guys how to use the sample text to 3D, but you can basically use images to generate 3D objects and loads a 3D model to get description. So it basically loads a 3D model and create another 3D model based on this 3D model. I don't find it so useful. So we're gonna choose the sample text to 3D. Here on sample text to 3D, we're gonna copy the first few lines, which is basically importing all the important settings like torch in the diffusion models, um, the load configurations, and the things that we need to load and represent the model. So let's run it so he can import. So a thing I forgot to mention is to install the requirements of the project. So I'm gonna add code here and up it. So let's hit exclamation pipe install minus e dot. This will install all the requirements that are needed in this project. Okay, so it's installing. After installed all of that, let's get it. Let's just close that and then run the imports. So after we loaded all the imports, let's just create another code which will need to load the device. Okay, so this is how to torch if you're using the CPU or the GPU. In this case, we are using the GPU. We have GPU run here. So let's hit run and here we get the device. And after that, let's load the model. So this basically will load the model, the text model, and the transmitter will create basically a representation, a mathematical representation of the 3D object. So let's wait to run the diffusion. So it will download the models and configure them. So as you can see here, we already have some GPU RAM usage. It's loading the model, text 300M, and transmitter and diffusion. Okay, so after fully loading, we're gonna get the latents. Basically, the latents, what they do, basically generate a noise, and then the AI tries to shape this noise into an image. What I think is happening here is they are getting generated images, and then getting this generated image of other viewpoints to convert them into a 3D object using NeRF. Like, for example, in the video, the guy taken some photos of the girl and they make a 3D representation of it. And this basically using AI to create a vision of the model in different angles, and then using NeRF to create that in point clouds. So let's run it. It will create a shark. So it take a little time to run the latents. So it finished executing the sample latents, and now what we need to do is basically get the part when he will create like this view cameras and basically compose the image and display a little GIF. So let's add another code right here, and as you can see, you can change the render mode to STF. We'll try this later to see if there's a difference. I think they don't use the two models together. Maybe they are using. You can choose what model do you want, if you want NeRF or STF, but we will discover this as we do it. Okay, so let's generate the image. Let's see what it generates for us. Okay, it generates a simple shark, as you can see right here. So it's decoding the latent image. It's getting basically the cameras, and it's rendering with NeRF. Okay, so it's getting the image and making cloud points. It's generated a lot of latents. I don't know how many they are needed to generate the final image, but basically it gets the images and display it. So here are the 4 images that they generated. It's using, here we can add how much generated image we want. So I will add just on one little image, and let's try to write another prompt to see if it works. Okay, so let's try with a robot, um, a robot toy. Okay, so let's try to generate a robot to see if it works. So let's get the prompt and run the latents again. It will take some time to run, but it actually runs pretty quickly. As I said, it needs a lot of GPU RAM, so it's running at about now like 11.6 gigabytes of RAM, and that's a lot for a lot of cards. It's a lot. And let's see if it can generate our image. So let's re-render the process again and see what it returns. Also has this step to save the mesh as a object file, so you can import in your game. For example, try to use this model to generate some models to my game. Maybe I will need to do some quick alterations in Blender, but it seems like it runs fine for small objects. So I can generate quickly bottles, cups, like small objects that needs to be in the scene, and are simple. So it can be really good because you can generate these models without attribution. So you don't have to buy any model or so this is good for generating models that you can use in your game without proprietary attribution or having to buy the model. Here it generates a little robot. It's kind of cute. So it's working pretty fine. Let's try to change the prompt and change the render mode. So let's add STF and let's see. What I want to see is a boat that looks like banana. Okay. What was that? I don't know. But let's run it again. If you type too fast, maybe it gives some sparkles. I don't know. I never used Python notebooks before, so I don't know if it's expected uh, behavior. So let's run to see what generates. Okay, and let's render. Now using STF. Oh, so no model, name it PyTorch 3D. Okay, it's getting some exceptions right here. It maybe fails. Oh no, that's running. So it kind of generates an interesting object right here. I don't know if I can scale or something. Kind of looks like a banana. Let's try to generate the mesh so we can see it in other. Let's try to generate the mesh so we can see in other programs. So write the object. Let's see in your folder what you have here. Where it's saved. Let's see. Right here, example mesh. Let's try to download this file and open in Blender. So it also have this property called guidance scale, which you can use to basically tell how much the AI can be creative. And so you have this property called guidance scale, which you can tell the AI how creative it can be. And let's change this value by doubling it and see what happens. Okay, so it finishes to sample it. So let's try to render to see what happens. Okay, it looks more like a boat right now. I can see the mesh, but okay, it's kind of running. Let's just see what is generating though. So as you can see, this is the object the AI generated. It's kind of cool. It tried to make it look like the banana, but at the same time, it finds really hard to create the bolt. But it's a pretty interesting result. Let's try other stuff to see how it performs. Let's get back to the Python notebook. Let's close the resources, and I don't know. Let's get like so let's ask to generate a card. Pretty simple, right? So it's sampling all it over again. So after getting the sample, let's see what it got here in the render. Let's use STF again. Oh, this is the size of the renders and basically used to get more quality in the models, but it takes longer, so good to consider. And the guidance scale doesn't seem to look that did something. Let's scale down that to less after the test, and it generated quite a pretty interesting car. Let's download it and test it again. So it's kind of finished writing the object, and let's download it again and open in. Let's open again. Let's open. I just delete. Let's just delete. So let's open our car. Let's see. I need to go to File, import the object, and here are the example mesh. And there are our car right here. Let's see. How can I rotate this? Yeah. So it's not quite good yet, and it generates like quite simple models. and the mesh are really terrible. So you probably wouldn't use that in the game because you can make this in a simpler shape. But I mean, maybe for topology, if you generate the model and then uh, create, basically remake the model just using simpler shapes, it could work, I guess. But you probably will have the work making the topology, and it'll probably be easier you to make the whole model. So it's not quite useful yet, but it's a beginning. And it's pretty interesting, the ability to generate 3D objects. So that's it for this video. I want to show really quickly, just introduce you guys to this new model. It's interesting, it's just the beginning. You probably just two more papers on down the line, it will get significant better, but at the moment it can do some real cool stuff. If you want to try, I will let all the links in the description. And thanks for watching. Subscribe and like, and go see what other videos. So bye bye.